Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good night if you're here from Australia. If you can bear with me while I do my usual, get myself so I can see the chat, and then I will be with you very shortly. And also, I want to cover at the bit where I can see me because I find that really off-putting. Last thing I want to do is look at myself. So here we go for another Sunday live chat. I think I'm organised. Can everyone hear me? Can anyone hear me? So I'll just wait for a second while I get some confirmation that I can be heard. And Eric is here. So who's here? Lorella is here. Dragonfly Urban Gardening. Barbara's Allotment. ACS, good morning, Chris. And I'm going to press the little button, and hopefully next time you make a comment, you will also have a spanner next to your name, which means that I've just made you a moderator as per our discussion. The video clarity is a bit fuzzy. Well, that will be about rural living today, I'm afraid. It is quite blustery out there, so sorry if it's a bit fuzzy. I'm pretty sure I've set my phone to the right setting. I can't look now. If I look now, I'll cut myself off. So we'll have to have a bit fuzzy. Actually, do you know what? Today, fuzzy might be the best view that you get of me, to be honest. Barbara's Allotment is here and Benny's here from Norway. So shall we start with where we are and what our weather is like? So as you know, we're in southeast Wales, and this morning the weather was lovely. It was cool and dry, and then it got cloudied over and has got cooler and cooler. And I've just seen that Anna's joined us. Hi Annie, and Evil Spartacus, and Kelly Bays, and Tony Stevens. Now, I know it looks like we've got loads and loads of moderators here. We have, because I've got very, very paranoid about the you-know-whats. So hopefully with loads of moderators we can zap them in. And Tammy's Homestead. Chris is here. Hi Chrissy. Two Odd Onions Homestead. Suzanne Burford. Steffi's here, Dawn Jones is here, Jay's here, and Laura is here. So hello to everybody, and if I haven't said hello to you, please excuse me from not being rude. I've just missed it as the chat's going up. So last week I promised my patrons that I would put a section on Patreon where they could ask questions, and I would answer those as priority questions today. And indeed I've had several questions, so I am going to answer those, all of those today. And Lizzie has joined us, and Steve Plumwine's here, and Heidi is here. So I'm going to fire straight into first of all a question on the screen. Oh, it's not a question, it's a comment. The flowers behind us, these are Alstramira. They were here last week. I haven't changed the water, I haven't added the water. They've done really well, so I'm very pleased with them. And Elizabeth is here, and Robert Kilted Gardener is here. Good morning. So Adrienne asked me last week, what was the first thing or animal? So what was the first thing I planted and the first animal we raised here as new homesteaders? So we started out with 3 chickens that were given to me by my daughter. She got them about 9 months before we moved in, and just after she got her chickens, she discovered she was pregnant with grandson number 2, and she just found it really difficult to clean out their little house when she was very pregnant, and also she was really not well while she was pregnant. So pretty much as soon as we moved here, we had 3 chickens and their house, and those chickens were Bluebell, Diesel and Jack. Bluebell had a heart attack, or I think it was a heart attack, not long after we got her, so maybe a week or so she just died. And Diesel, actually, we name one of the areas of our homestead the Diesel field after Diesel. Diesel is no longer with us. She died earlier in the year, no, early, last year. But Jack is still with us, and Jack is just a brown chicken who just consistently lays lots of eggs, even though she's now quite an old girl. I think the very first thing I did when we moved here was to create a compost bin, and the previous owners here had had alpacas and a pony, and I asked them to not muck out the stable before they left. So I mucked it out and put all of that straight into the compost bins. And the first thing I planted were garlic and leeks, and I planted. I can remember sitting at the end of the kitchen table with plastic sheeting over the end of the table, carefully planting garlic into little modules, which I grew on here. And obviously now I don't grow stuff inside because of Monty. And hello, Water Shambles. Hi, how are you? Any preference to buy heirloom seeds online? I get my seeds mostly, but not always, mostly from Real Seeds, and also Premier Seeds Direct, but I know there are lots of other places that you can get heirloom seeds as well. And Micro Farm Starter and My Family Garden is here, and Kevin. Oh yes, Kevin, chat to other people in Northern Ireland. It's always nice to make links with people who aren't too far away from you. And hello Louise, thank you for joining us. And part-time permies are here, and Tracy is here. Hi Tracy, what's your weather doing in Belgium? And Sharon's here. It's all good. It's all good stuff. Actually, you know, having just mentioned the priority questions for patrons, I just want to say welcome to Rick. Thank you for becoming a patron in the last couple of weeks. It's very much appreciated. And I'm just going to be reading a little bit. There are several people who are buying properties at the moment, and it's quite nice to see people chatting about their ideas and their thoughts, and obviously, you know, not giving cast in stone information because you can't you can't online, but it's quite nice that people are sharing their thoughts. So, oh, and Harry's here from Food Forest Permaculture. Hello. What is it? What's the weather doing in Canada? That's a vast, sweeping statement. What's the weather doing in your small portion of Canada? And Health Enthusiast is here. Adrian, that's absolutely fine. I will be working my way through the other questions as well today. And 50 Shades of Green. Is that Simon? Hello. Okay, ACS has got ice and snow, -4, 32 degree, 32 inches of snow. That's UP Gardener. What part of the world are you in? I always think it's really interesting when we're starting to say, you know, spring is looking like it could be around the corner in a month or so, and other people are still under several feet of snow. And Beth Joy has joined us from Jolly Veg in East Yorkshire. What's the weather doing up there, Beth? Look at the difference in temperature is just incredible across the globe. We may not be joined by many people from Australia because I'm aware that it is really quite late at night there. But occasionally we get a few night birds who are happy to stay up very, very late. Tony's here from UK Here We Grow. Tony, have you hit that 33,000 subscriber milestone? And if you have, then we can have a quick yay for you. if you're not familiar with Tony's channel, fantastic. Tony has a gardening channel, and although it's called UK Here We Grow, it applies worldwide, and he has viewers worldwide. And his channel has just grown and grown and grown. It feels like it was only, and it probably was only a few months ago. We were saying, hooray, you've got to 20,000, then 25, and here he is at 33. Amazing stuff, Tony. Oh, and Kate. Hello, Kate. I'm sorry I didn't say hello earlier. How rude of me. And Susie has also joined us, and Carol is here. Question saying, where did I get my big staples from for the weed membrane? Now, I've had two lots. One were absolutely sort of square, and they were about 3 or 4 inches across. And they came with the weed suppressing membrane when I bought some about 2 years ago. And I've just kept reusing them. So those are the ones that I said that were quite rusty in my video. The ones that I've used most recently are much narrower at the top, so they're more like that. I'm just going to have to plug my phone in because I didn't recharge it. And I just bought those on Amazon. I may well have put a link to them in my Amazon store. If I haven't, I will do that by 5 minutes after this live chat has finished. Okay, so now hopefully it won't cut out. Just seeing if anyone else has joined. Just Tammy's Homestead Life. Did I say hello to you earlier on? If not, I'm sorry. Lots and lots of people here. So Tammy's Homestead Life, whereabouts in the world are you? I'm not familiar with where you are. I'm only being nosy. Yeah, I am being nosy. So a couple of other things. Adrian also asked me in the questions, what refers to my bit of paper, what kinds of organic insect repellents or pesticides do we use? Well, the answer to that is quite simple, really. I use netting, so I use debris netting, it's just scaffolding netting, over hoops on my brassicas to keep cabbage white butterfly and cabbage moth off them. And for everything else, I wait for nature. I just wait for nature to do its thing. I kind of feel that if we wait, the natural predators will arrive. I'm not hugely keen on spraying anything because it's a bit indiscriminate. So you can spray, but you can't guarantee that it's going to just only kill off the stuff you don't want there. So I tend to leave it. So last year, we had quite a lot of black fly on the beans last year, but I waited, and a couple of weeks later, mass influx of ladybirds, so who pretty much kept on top of them. It's not 100%, but it's pretty good. And I figure as time goes on, and I've got a wider variety of perennial things growing in the garden, so we're attracting more and more predators, then hopefully the pest issue will get less and less. So hopefully. Someone just said, where did I get the scaffolding netting, the debris netting from? I bought it on eBay. It's just green debris netting. I started off buying one that was 2 meters wide, but to be honest, that's probably not quite wide enough to go. It wasn't wide enough to go over my hoops and down to the sides and actually be able to secure it at the ground. So I now get a 3 meter wide one, and it does the job well enough. We haven't had an awful lot of problem with them. And the other thing that I do for cabbage white and cabbage moth, cabbage white butterfly and cabbage moth, is I leave a couple of brassicas not in tunnels, and they are my sacrifice plants, which I noticed even in December had caterpillars on them. But part of that I think is because it was quite warm. but it does seem to attract them to that rather than the things I don't want them to go on. So, and Dojo Allotment Mayhem, Fenwick is here. Our site gets it free from a scaffolding company. So that's the debris netting. How fantastic is that to be able to get it free? Susie says, do you have trouble with wild rabbits eating your plants? Well, last year I put out a video saying, and now we have rabbits. And that one rabbit, I saw one little baby bunny wandering around the diesel field, which is where I've just started laying down those long pathways to grow there. That's the only one I've seen, and I haven't seen any evidence of food being nibbled by bunnies either. So we shall see. Now we don't have chickens running around that area. We might do in the future. Dragonfly Urban Gardening says, do you have issues with fungus with dried beans or rust on garlic? So we have had that allium rust in the garden the first year we were here. There was a little bit the second year. I don't remember seeing it last year. It's one of those things that I think it happens. Actually, I don't even know why it happens. I don't know how it comes. I'm guessing it's a fungal thing. So we didn't last year, and I grew a lot of onions and leeks. But the one thing I did do was make my spacing a bit wider so there was a better circulation of air. I don't know if that helped or not. So I saw someone talking about, was it bugs? So Part-Time Permies are saying they use wedding favour bags over fruit like apples, grapes and peaches. Yeah, that's a good idea. So all those barrier methods are fine. I don't use anything over our apples. I cut around any damage caused by codling moth. But that's because there is a glut of apples here. Not on our homestead, but next door, who planted their apple trees 20 years ago. And like me, planted an awful lot of them. They have so many apples, they just say please come and scoop them up off the ground. So I literally go round there with buckets and scrape up bucketfuls of windfalls. So Tony has just said, Liz, are the bees still alive there? As far as I know. So when did I last look? About 10 days ago, and there was still a bit of sign of activity then. There weren't loads of them, but they swarmed last year, so we were left with just a small number of bees. But there have been signs of them this year. Next time you come over, Tony, if you want to bring your beekeeping stuff, do you want to come and have a look in the hive and see what's going on in there? That would be fabulous. And I can come and very gingerly stand there and hop from one foot to another going, I don't know if I'm brave enough to get near them. So here we go. And Christy has joined us. Hi, Christy. My little bit of pieces here. Hi. Susie's asking, Kate, does she use fencing to deter? What are you going to deter? I didn't catch that bit of conversation. Sorry about that. And I'm probably way behind in the conversation as well. Oh, I am definitely way behind. So Jazz is here from Alternate Smallholding. Hi. No, not alternate. Alternative Smallholding. Hi. And Time to Sow is here. Hello. And Chrissy, thank you for putting somebody in time out there. It happens every now and then we have to do that, I'm afraid. Sarah's saying you're deterring deer. Yeah, that would need a high fence. And Bill's here. Hiya, Bill. Do you know, a few years ago I was driving along a lane on the other side of the river, so just in England, and a deer jumped out and ran across the road, but it jumped an incredibly high hedge. I hadn't really appreciated just how high they could jump if they wanted to. And Rot the Caspar is here. Just fled indoors to log in. Hello, thank you for joining us. So I'm going to answer another question that I have been asked. And Chrissy asked, are we planning on having turkeys again this year? And yes, we are. And Louise, Carrots and Cosmos is here from the Isle of Wight. Hi, thank you for joining us. Yes, we are going to have turkeys again this year. Miss Jane and I were just talking about it over lunch and deciding where we're going to house them. Are we going to let them free range after last year's fiasco of them deciding that they like to live on top of the shed and on the barn roof and anywhere but where we wanted them to be? So we are going to rearrange some of the pens, make a nice big enclosure for them, let them have some inside space that's really, a big inside space. And we are hoping to raise more this year than we did last year. So we got 4 through to adulthood last year. This year I'd like to double that if I can. But we're not going to have the white ones this year, so we're going to go with the slate grey and some black ones, and possibly some bourbon reds. But we will wait and see how we go with that. So, but yes, I'm really looking forward to them. I've already contacted the gentleman that we buy the turkey eggs from. I did that about a month ago and said, we want turkeys again this year. So definitely, as soon as his girls are laying and he's done a fertility check, then we will have the eggs. And talking of eggs, I was chatting with somebody in my Facebook group who is moving to small holding before too long, and would like some Australorps. So I am going to be hatching some Australorp chicks for them, and there'll be Australorps and Australorp crosses. So they're going to go on in the next day or so. I'm really, really excited about having the incubator on again. We haven't had the incubator on in this house for 5 months or maybe longer. And I have really, really missed having baby birds around. So I think the last ones we hatched with a guinea fowl, and that was in September. So yeah, 5 months. So I'm going to be popping a whole load of eggs in the incubator, and then hopefully in about 3 weeks' time, we will be. In fact, if I'm really smart and if I get them on today, it may well be that in a live chat in 3 weeks' time, we can actually watch some hatching. That would be lovely. So yeah, I'm excited. That kind of makes it feel very much like it's spring. So. So who else have we got here? Daniel Skinner's here. Hello, Daniel. Have I missed a question, Daniel, that you wanted to ask, or are you talking about something else? Barbara's allotment says, "Is it okay to plant honeysuckle now?" I hope so. I planted some this morning, so I took some up out of the front garden that had layered itself into the ground and grown roots. So I've cut that off and popped it into a pot this morning. The only thing I will do is, if we are threatened with a very, very heavy frost, I will take that one into the greenhouse, which is unheated, but just to give it a bit of a chance so that the roots don't completely freeze. 50 Shades. Oh, I'm sorry. They've said that the first live stream today and got their first troll. Yeah, I'm sorry. Not because I did it, but because it's distracting when it happens. And Square One Farms is here. We love hatching. Have some quail on lockdown now. How exciting! It really does make it feel like it's spring when you've got new little birds around. So there you go. So Tony is saying only plant it once the threat of frost has passed. So that's exactly what I was saying about, I'll take mine inside if it's going to get frosty. Hello to Nick's Allotment and to Morgan at Goldshaw Farm. Goldshaw Farm says, do you have problems with honeysuckle as an invasive? Yes and no. It does seem to layer itself quite freely. I'm not an enormous fan of honeysuckle because it's scruffy. And I know the birds love nesting in it, but it does grow out of hand quite quickly. So what I have done is, where we've got it and it's layered itself, I pick it up and I move it into the hedge so that it's growing actually in the hedgerows rather than all over where I don't want it to be. So what a shambles. I love that comment. Yes, no. They've just said, those people that I don't want to have here means you're winning. Wear it like a badge. Yes, to some extent. I've had 2 or 3 live chats that I know have been so disrupted by it that I've actually stopped the live chats because I couldn't concentrate on what I was saying. So Tony, I've just noticed, says, if you're enjoying this live chat, please give it a thumbs up. Yes, please do. It tells YouTube that you're enjoying spending time with me wittering. I would like to say properly chatting, but I'm not. I realise I'm just wittering away. So I've done that bit to tick things off my list. Okay, so actually there's loads of gardeners here, which is brilliant. I've had a question from Mary that says, what is the best method for shade filters for container pots? So she's got lots of containers in her front garden, and that's what she's growing her veg in, but that's also the sunniest part, and so presumably that's getting too hot. So if you have suggestions of how Mary can put up some shade for plants in pots, please make those suggestions. I'm sure she'll be really grateful for your help. I'm just going to have a quick read through. And Kelly from Kelly's Sunny Somerset Allotment Garden. One day I'll be able to say that without stumbling. Hello. So Mr. J is around. He is busy. He's busy doing 1 or 2 things today. He's either doing radio stuff, or he's checking his eyelids for light leaks, which could well be what he's doing today. I went upstairs just before the live chat, and he was reading a magazine, but I suspect that might have turned into a quick snooze. We had a fairly hectic day yesterday. I did masses and masses in the yard, masses in the garden. Mr. J came home from work, had a bite to eat, and then came out and joined me for several hours to help me. To say that we are a bit achy today is an understatement. Hence not leaping up and moving around very much today, because we probably overdid it. So but anyway, so he may well join me in a while, or he may not. But just to let you know that his radio shows this week for his retro album chart show. So he does a chart countdown, but not of the singles of a particular year, but from the albums of that year. So what was in the album chart that week. His weeks this week are 1976 and 1996. And I was just saying to him, I can remember lots about 1976 and almost nothing about 1996. I have no idea what I was actually doing in 96. Probably just working like mad. 1976, still in my teens, my early teens, my very, very early teens. In fact, I was hardly born in 19... Yeah, I was. I was in my teens, and it was that very dry, hot summer. Do I remember anything else about it? No, not much. but I do remember some of the music. Two Wild Onions Homestead said, any suggestions on when to sow dandelion seeds outdoors here in the US? No, because dandelions grow so I'm going to say voracious. Is that the right word? They they are weeds en masse here and seed themselves everywhere. I can't actually imagine wanting to sow them. So anybody vigorous, thank you. That's that's a better word. So if there's anyone in the States who has an idea when one might sow dandelion seeds, I'm smiling because I thought of actually welcoming them and growing them as a crop. On an average year, you probably can't take one step across our homestead without passing 3, 5, maybe 10 dandelions. So they grow very well here. Prolific weeds in the UK, yeah. 3000%. Hello, hi. Yeah, did someone mention dandelions? Yeah, dandelion is a great medicinal plant, especially for the liver, but and uses for salads for leaves. It's the leaves for a salad. Yeah, get all of those things, but I find them too bitter to eat. Chickens like them, but even so, they do go absolutely everywhere. And dandelion wine is supposed to be amazing. Has anybody made dandelion wine? Yeah, Steve's just said dandelion wine. Yes, I think dandelion wine might be the one to do this year. Pair of gloves to pick the flower heads so that your hands don't get stained, and there you go. My little bit of piece says roots for coffee. Do you know, that's interesting. I always thought it was parsnips that were roasted and then ground to make a coffee alternative. Interesting, it's dandelions. Still can't think of a good reason to grow a crop of dandelions though. Kate uses them as part of a skincare cream, so lots of uses. 50 Shades, do you mind putting your question up again, because I've obviously missed it. If you don't mind popping it up again, I will have a look at that. And chicory can be used for a coffee substitute. Yeah, that's what they used to make camel coffee from, wasn't it? Oh, now I'm really showing my age. So camel coffee essence, which chicory coffee substitute, which I know one of my friends' parents used to drink, and it used to. Anyway, does that describe what it did? It wasn't my thing at all. So yeah, hopefully Simon at 50 Shades will pop his question up again and I can answer that. So wow, the questions are going really quickly. So Tony's going yuck. Well, presumably the yuck was at the camel coffee comment. Sarah says, yeah, she's got a friend who's crazy. Gee, I didn't even know they still made camel coffee substitute. Okay, Louise says, do you grow blue something and are they easy to grow? Blue what? Because I didn't quite get that. So 50 Shades, does your Amazon wish list automatically update so you don't get duplicates? Yes, it does. I've set it so that it updates that way. I won't get duplicates. Some of the things on there will say I'm looking for 2 of them, so like 2 pairs of gloves and things like that. And I do go in every now and then and add bits to it as and when I think, yes, I could really do with a something. Last week, and they're still here. I have kept them watered, but I haven't put them in yet. Last week, I was sent some. Oh, now the word's going to go. Let me get them and I'll show you. I was sent a hedge. It's not buckthorn. It's not. What is it? Somebody want to help me out with what sort of hedge it might be? It's non-prickly. Looks like beech, but it isn't. And I've forgotten its name. Anyway, this is going in tomorrow morning. I've already cleared all the spaces that it's going into, so it will have a nice soak in water. So lots of suggestions. Okay, so it's not willow, it's not hornbeam. Thank you. It's not willow, it's not elder, it's not hawthorn, it's hornbeam. That's hornbeam's the one that looks like beech, isn't it? So we've got a really long hedge of it already that goes around the chicken field next to our reed bed, and goes all the way around the back. And I absolutely love it. So this is going to go in on the west side, to form a light hedge. There are already hedging plants there. They haven't done brilliantly, so I'm adding to it. So yeah, I'm really pleased about that. And Eva's here. Hello Eva, how are you? I look positive. Do you know what? I feel quite positive today. We've had good weather for a few days. I've had lots and lots of fresh air, and been doing lots and lots of work. So it's yeah, things are feeling up, to be honest. And Evelyn says, how do I keep asparagus bare roots okay until I can plant it in March? Okay, would somebody like to say the proper way of looking after asparagus and until it can be planted? What I did was I put it in a bucket and put water in it. Totally filled the bucket with water, left it for and it really was only about 10 minutes because I didn't want to drain them, and drained it out, and then I put it into the greenhouse, and then every now and then I just went and chucked a bit of water at it, and I didn't let them dry out, but I didn't let them drain and sit in water either, and I kept mine for about 2 months like that. So it's not ideal, I realise. So I'm going to have a little look and see what else people are saying. I did see a question about sowing seeds, so I'm going to go back and have a quick look and see that. Part-time Permis says, have you started any seeds yet, and what types? No, I haven't. I have been absolutely adamant I am not going to sow any seeds until March the 1st, because that's plenty early enough. And then I went through my seeds yesterday, or the day before yesterday. So I went through my one of my seed boxes. I was going to start putting everything in order in which they needed planting, and then I looked and it said sow in February, sow in February, sow in February. So there are a lot I could be sowing, but I still haven't started. So I know other people have. I'm trying to sit on my hands and not sow any yet. And Dibby's here, and I noticed someone else had joined us, so I'm really sorry if I haven't said hello to you. Oh, and Gone Potty Gardening is here. Hello. Tony says he's only sowing chilies. I've seen lots of people saying lots of other things. The one thing I thought I might sow is peas. These peas are Tushy without her glasses on. So progress number 9. I thought I might just sow some on the windowsill, well no, in a tray, have them either on the windowsill or in the greenhouse, and just have them for pea shoots. So we've got a little bit of something different to go with our food that feels like it's a fresh grown thing. It's part-time hermies are going through the seeds this weekend, and plan a new plan on starting some today. Yeah, I know lots and lots of people have already started. Hello Lois, Lois has joined us. Ordered all your seeds this week, but you won't be starting till the end of March. Are you still under snow there, Lois? Kelly has started chilies, tomatoes, celeriac, asparagus peas, and lots of flowers are in. And Robert says, do you have a problem with stinging nettles? Yes. This used to be, I mean, it was a field when we moved in, and the grass was kept really low by there being 4 alpacas and a pony in that field, so they kept the grass down to that. As soon as they left and we moved in, all the weed seeds all went hurrah, and so that is effectively, we've just got stinging nettles, thistles, brambles, field buttercup, what's that, is there a silver buttercup, is that what it's called? So basically, if it's pernicious, bindweed, if it's pernicious and really hard to get rid of, we've got it growing out there en masse. If you could eat all of those things and they were pleasant to eat, we would never go hungry. I realise you can eat some of those things, but I don't necessarily find them very pleasant. Lois says she does sprouts all winter. Yeah, and you're still under snow till the end of March. Okay, that would be why you're not doing your seeds until then. Stinging nettles are fab, great plant for food and compost, says Debbie. I'm not. Yes, they are. They are great for compost. They are great for a feed for your plants. I'm not sure how large a stinging nettle patch one needs for it to be productive. So we've got, just off the top of my head, duck enclosure has got a patch of stinging nettles that's about 40 feet by 60 feet. The veg garden has got a patch that's about 15 feet by 10. There's another patch around by the reed beds that's about 30 feet by 10 feet, and then at the back of the piggeries there's a patch that's about 40 by 60 feet. That is just solid stinging nettles with some brambles thrown in. So I kind of think we might have more than our fair share. So I'm going to leave the ones around the reed beds because I do want some for, I think it's red admiral butterflies. Is it red admiral butterflies that live on stinging nettles? I know there's one really nice butterfly, but I kind of feel that we don't need quite so much. It's just, I feel like I'm overrun with it. I really do. It's a bit overwhelming sometimes. So if anybody else wants stinging nettles, do get in touch. I'm more than happy to. And I was told that the chickens, if you cut your stinging nettles and you leave them to dry and you give them to the chickens, that the chickens love them. But nobody told my chickens that, because I gave them to my chickens, and they looked at me like there was something wrong with me. They looked at me in utter disgust that I had given them dried stinging nettles. So and Papa Truck Prep Studies here. Hello, how are you? And Life with Lemons is here from VA. Where is VA? Virginia? Is that right? Have I got that right? Let's have a look. Christy says she had a ton of stinging nettles at her old house. You didn't know at the time they were beneficial. There's loads of good things about stingers, but it's just the sheer volume of them that we have, and they are painful when you wade through them. So 3000% is asking Tony, are you going to go for giant spuds again this year? Yes, Tony, are you going to be? He is. He's saying he is. I'm actually coming to see Tony in the next week, or going to see Tony in the next week. I'm going to go and help Tony with whatever he wants help with on his allotment. And hopefully I will pick up a few tips about growing good spuds while I'm there. So Tony, I'm going to pick your brain, but I'm also going to come and I'll bring my gloves, I'll bring my wellies, I'll bring my raincoat. It's not going to rain when we're coming over. So hopefully, but Chris is saying, ACS is saying, fantastic, I love it when you and Tony do a collab. Well, we may well just stick the camera on while we're working. That seems to be like a fairly good thing to do. There you go. Tony's saying, bring your camera and we'll film some tips on them, on growing good potatoes. Yes. Papa Truck Prepsteader says we planted Yukon Gold and Pontiac Red yesterday. So that's potatoes, presumably. I have got an embarrassing number of potatoes that are chitting at the moment. I keep thinking I've got too many, and then I keep thinking, well, I'll just try one more variety. So I've got Arran, I've got Red Duke of York. I might have to go and look outside at the moment. Picasso. I don't know. I think I've got 7 or 8 different varieties. I've got some Cara. There's just a lot of potatoes, so I'm not quite sure where we're going to plant them all yet, but they will go in. 3000% saying they have embarrassing chits. They are too long. I'm going to show you something I discovered the other day. You know, behind these flowers there has been a bread bin or a metal container ever since I started doing the live chats. This one. Does this look vaguely familiar? It doesn't have bread in it. At some point last year, when I harvested my potatoes, I popped the potatoes in here to keep them okay. And the other day, I lifted the lid and I shut it again really quickly. This is how not to do it. This is not me chitting my potatoes. These were ones that I was going to be eating and I forgot all about. So this really amused me. So, and they look like they've all sprouted and all grown. So what do? Do I put the lid back on them and forget about them? Do I put them out into the light and see if they'll green up? Do I plant them, or do I just get rid of them in the food recycling, or do I get them into the ground and add them to the embarrassing number that I've already got? So thank you for joining us, 50 Shades. Thank you. Laura's saying they're desperate to live. They are desperate to live. I was going to do this in a video, but I'm so impressed with these poor things. So is the general idea, shall I try growing them and see what happens? Okay, I will try growing them. I might try those in a pot so that I can really gently put compost around them and not break their little alien stems. And Laurie's joined us. Hi Laurie. You may have joined us some time ago. Us being the royal we, obviously. Us, as in all of us. So, yes, alien potatoes. They are bizarre, aren't they? I mean, it's so clever that things just want to grow so much. And presumably they were just getting the moisture from the air. They've obviously got no food in there or anything, so they're just taking the food from in their tuber. Poor things. So I will get those into buckets. I will film putting them in, and we'll just see how they go. So 3000% says that you're feeling better because maybe yours aren't quite as bad as that in terms of being leggy. Potatoes I'm chitting just outside the door there. There are a lot of them, and they are as you would expect. So they're potatoes with just tiny, weeny little green chits on them. Lorella's off. Thank you very much for joining us, Lorella, and I will no doubt chat to you later on. Thank you for the nice comments about the live stream today. I'm going to just get in a couple of other questions. Lynn has said, apart from duck and chicken poo, what other fertiliser do I use? So I make a tea from or a liquid fertiliser from stinging nettles. So I've got a water butt out there, which last year I put a whole load of stinging nettles in, poured the water on the top, and then thought, well, that wasn't very smart because it's going to block up the hole. And lots of other people said to me, put them into a pillowcase first. So so I now know to put them into the pillowcase. Tony's saying, do I have comfrey here? Yes, Tony, I've got lots of comfrey. It's still very small because I only planted it last year, and some of it's still waiting to go into the ground. But once that is growing, that will also get used. I'll just literally just chop the comfrey and just lay it down on the ground. I will add it into the compost, and I'll make a tea from it. And in terms of other fertilisers, I have access to chicken manure, chicken bedding. Thank you for joining us, Harry. I've got access to chicken. I'll start that again. Other than the chicken and the duck beddings, I have access to very well rotted horse manure that has been in a heap for about 20 years, and it is the finest black crumbliest stuff that I've ever seen. Unfortunately, it's in a really inaccessible place, so you have to literally get down on your hands and knees and dig it out and get it into a bag, and then sort of drag it back to the car to bring it. So and Carol's had to go. Thanks for joining us, Carol. So I also have access to the beautiful horse manure as well, which I keep saying I need to go and get large volumes of, and then every time I do I go up there and I get like a bucket or one bag, and then I've had enough of fighting through through all the nettles and the brambles and everything to get at it. So Tony is saying, use comfrey for fruiting and flowering plants and nettles for greens. Oh, that's a good one to remember. Kicking it with Karen's here. Hi, how are you? Online met Kicking It with Karen. I think it was yesterday, or the day before on a live chat. I think it was yesterday. I was watching Blake Kirby's live chat from Mother Earth News Fair, and I think Karen and I met via that. And I will actually just say that I think Kate and Robert, you can probably tell me this. am I right in thinking that after my live chat is the right time to go and watch Blake's second part of his live chat from Mother Earth News Fair? So Karen's saying yes, that's how we met. So what's the time now where you are, Kate? Or what's the time at Central Time now? So it's almost 9 now. So in an hour's time. Okay, so everybody, in an hour's time, an hour or so's time, Blake will be doing more from the Mother Earth News Fair. It was absolutely brilliant yesterday, absolutely fascinating. I really enjoyed it. So certainly worth having a look if you've got a bit of time in an hour, and just over an hour to do that. So lots of people are talking about having transporting manure from one place to another. Thank you, Kate. Okay, so there you go. Kilted Gardener's got that 11 a.m. Daddy Curbs on YouTube. So there we go. That's when it will be 11 a.m. That's not 11 a.m. Central, is it? It was 10 a.m. Central. I get very confused with all these time changes. Someone's just asked, Dibby40 has just asked where Mr. J is. He is in the house. He is either doing his radio stuff or he is in that horizontal position where you check your eyelids for light leaks. Which is probably where I'm going to end up a bit later on this afternoon. So yes, there are conversations still happening about Comfrey, and Tony has just reminded me to say, get Bocking 14. Funny name, but there's a reason for getting that. Is it won't spread everywhere. It has to be propagated from root cuttings, and then you won't find it becomes very invasive. So it's really funny. I can see a question up there, but I can't see it down here yet. There was a question about radio stuff. Mr. J does a radio show twice a week, or 2 radio shows a week is what I ought to say. It's not the same one twice. He does 2 radio shows a week. I'll leave a link to his Facebook page, which tells you the times of day that you can hear that in the various different places, because it's on lots of different radio stations across the world at different times. So Chrissy is saying, Kate, how do you delete a message? I only seem to be able to put them out in timeout. Chrissy, when you click on the message on the 3 little buttons, when you get the 3 little buttons, are you only getting put them in timeout as an option, or are you getting other options as well? Sorry about the silence. I'm waiting for a I know Kate has explained it to Chrissy, so there we go. Right, it is 2 minutes to. Are there any other questions? I've got a couple more questions here which I can answer if there are no other questions. So I will go ahead, answer one of these. If you've got any questions, please can you pop it in capitals and so I can see it. I was asked, do I think this lifestyle is realistic in advanced years? And my answer is yes, absolutely. In the olden days, long before my time, if you were homesteading, if you were living on a small farm, small holding, whatever you want to call it, you didn't actually have the option but to keep going right through your later years, your more advanced years. And so I think it is perfectly possible. What you'll need to do, what one would need to do, is to adapt the practices that you're doing to fit in with how you are physically. Donna, hiya, saying, do you plant by cycle to the moon? No, I don't. I have done a bit of reading about it. Problem is, just not that organised. Emotional gardener, hi. How long do you have to let horse manure sit before using it in the garden? I would say a minimum 6 months. Other people may feel it's longer or shorter, but I would say a minimum of 6 months. Caspar says you only get older if you stop doing stuff. There is that, and it keeps you fit. Yeah. So, Kate says that she's heard you need to let manure mature for a year. Yeah, I think it has to be. I think it has to be a little bit of a while. Yeah. And I think there was one other question. So yeah, so rabbit manure and guinea pig manure doesn't need to be, and actually I don't think alpaca does either, doesn't need to be left to mature. They can be used fairly straight away because they're not highly alkaline, acidic, one of those. So and Michael Harrig is here. Michael, you've joined us towards the end, as has, I don't know, there's a couple of other people who I'm going to say hello to. Don't know how long you've been here. Sorry if I've missed you previously. So David's here, saying, how long do you need to let poultry manure mature for or sit for? I would say at least a year, 2 years preferably. It is really strong stuff and can burn your plants quite easily. And that Texan is here from Virginia. Hi, I'm advanced at 61. I think the idea was that maybe it was considerably more advanced than 61. I think the thought was, in your 80s and 90s, is it still a realistic way? And says what you need to do is get younger folk to help out when you need it. Absolutely. And that is why Tony, Hugh and Erica are here on a regular basis helping me out. because obviously they are a lot younger than me. Okay, well, Tony's not a lot younger than me, but considerably younger than me. Quick. Get me out of that hole. When can you divide perennial shrubs? Robert is saying. I wouldn't divide shrubs. I would propagate from cuttings. Perennial ones herbaceous ones that they go underground and disappear, I would tend to do in autumn, unless it's a grass, and then I would tend to do that in the spring. So. Yeah, much agreement that 61, 66 are young. Otter Shamble says, I'm 35 and already struggling. Come on, keep up. You'll be fine. All you have to do is slow down and just accept that things hurt a little bit more the next day. Kate says that she is reaching a significant number in August. We could have a significant number party online, couldn't we? So, yeah, any numbers with a 5 or with a 0 are significant numbers, but some of them are more significant than others. So yeah, Tony is still, he hasn't even got to 45 yet. You've got a long way to go before you can consider yourself. In fact, you can never catch up with me, Tony, you'll be pleased to know. So, oh dear. Yeah, Bill's got to a significant number. Yes, Well, Kate's saying she's just getting older, not old. I think that is it, isn't it? As we get more mature in age, I would like to think I might get more mature in my brain, but I'm not. I still, in my brain, still feel as I did when I was 25 or 20, maybe 30. And my father told me on his 70th birthday that he felt exactly the same on the inside as he did when he was 21. He said it's just the outside that wasn't behaving, but his brain still felt, young and healthy. So Daniel says he's 50 and 17. I like that. Kate's going to be 17 forever. Yeah, you see. David says, I tell people he's old enough to remember bell bottoms the first time. Wow. Yeah, I do too. Yeah, brain thinks young, body doesn't keep up. But, that's about just adapting what we do, isn't it? And, I've now learned that if I try and do the amount of work that I did yesterday, the next day, I know about it. Okay, we have just gone beyond the hour. I am in need of a cup of tea. Cup is, well, actually this one always was empty, but just a reminder, if you'd like a mug, the link to be able to buy mugs is in the description box. And there were a couple of other things that I was going to make sure that I added in there. A couple of links on my Amazon store, so I'll make sure I do those. And I'm going to go find that cup of tea. Donna, yes, they ship to everywhere. If you're in Australia and you want one, you need to get in touch with me because I'll get it sent to me and then I can forward it to you. But these will ship direct to America, Europe, and across the UK. America, Europe, and UK. Have I said that right? Yes, I've said that right. Okay, thanks for joining me. I'll be back.